Painting with the Spirit, it was an amazing opportunity for people within the church. We had a good 125, 150 people there. It was a special evening. And we moved all the pews in the sanctuary, got everybody out there to dance, to paint. And, it wasn't really all choreographed, which is what made it really cool. Really, a lot of the movement was what's happening. So tell us, is that really, at the end of the day, what we did there, is that lyrical abstraction, or what exactly is this sort of, okay, I'm going to hear music and feel kind of how to paint?
Well, first of all, for me, it's very personal. I've always been intrigued by the link between creativity and spirituality. The way I like to paint is to be very authentic, and that's finding the spirit. In fact, for me, it's finding that place inside that you're open, you're vulnerable, you're spontaneous, and you let that come through by the emotions that you put on the canvas.
And by coming through, is that actually like the moving of the brush and the way that are you visualizing something and then painting it, or are you feeling like, okay, I'm getting this, this feeling, and then you move your hand and that creates, kind of, which do you see the vision and start to paint it, or do you just let your hands kind of go and that's what begins to be created?
Right. Well, I think it's taking your emotions and then translating those emotions by color and movement and seeing kind of what comes out. And it's very spontaneous, because what I love is I don't have a vision of what I want to – maybe I have a vision of I'm feeling angry or passionate and I'm going to use red first, or, I'm feeling pretty zen and I'm going to use white. Those kind of things can influence how I paint. But
and does it change as you're doing it?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, my gosh. Paintings can change dramatically. Painting on the Bloom cover.
Yeah, let's hear that. Yeah,
that painting actually was pretty amazing, because when it started, I was not in a good place. And so it started gray and black and dark blue, and I was kind of getting a little bit feisty because it wasn't working out. And I kind of was like, hey, Spirit, what? I showed up for the party, but you're not around. And in fact, I put a little red, and the whole thing took off. And actually, the painting, I started painting that because I was trying to find a solution to an issue that was really irritating me, and I had to paint it out. And curiously enough, through that painting, because it ended up becoming this like flower, this firework abstract, that actually at the end of the painting, I had an idea of how I could solve my problem. And so when you are able to experience that, it makes you want to go and paint more. And so that's what I like to share. With this new, this idea that kind of came about because of the trip that we took to India to Deep Kriya Society.
Earlier this year, sure.
Right. I wanted to share. I wanted to use art as a way of sharing beauty and expression with the women and the children in Pune, in the slums. And so I wanted to share something with them, and I thought, well, if they could share how to do Bollywood dancing with me, because I love to dance, and that's kind of the way I get into my letting go of the logical brain and moving into the intuitive side. I suggested doing that.
I have a hard time with that. Yeah.
You got to dance, Jim. It's just about dancing or meditation, we all have our ways of doing it. There's not only one way, but for me, I love to dance. I know that I can really sink deep into my soul when I dance.
And that's part of these events. So for someone who hasn't seen it, let's paint them a picture of how these events kind of go. And you did another one similar, not exactly, to this, kind of this past weekend. So do they always open with music? Is it sometimes spiritual and not based on the venue? Is it, how for someone who hasn't seen it, what does this look like kind of start to finish? Well,
I wanted to share the way I painted, the way I paint with the public that was there. And again, since it's kind of my own, since I love to dance, I suggested, I had 4 musicians that have been working on this event with me.
Okay.
And because the name of the event was Invitation au Voyage, I think of all paintings as a journey that tell a story and take you in another universe. I think all paintings do that.
And everyone's different, I guess. That's what's so cool, because at these events, it's audience participation.
Well, for this event, I started showing them how I use the spatulas and the palette knives, because it's a little bit. I don't paint with brushes, so I kind of do something a little bit different. And then I had 6 people that came up and as I said, translating their emotions onto the canvas by using a certain color and a jest. And then from that, I followed their traces, and the painting kind of evolved from those 6 traces and my own that I had,
to put it all together. I guess.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun, and I think people are really hungry to be creative. And I think the creative spirituality element, I think we are hungry for spirituality too.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And then if whatever you get there on the canvas, I mean, does it just you look at it and go, wow, that's terrible, I got to go fix that?
No, there's no judgments. You got to be in a place of
I'm going to take this back to the studio.
Well, actually, I just painted over the third time over a painting. So I do, I think if, every 10th painting is something that really I love. I mean,
how long does it take to do one of these?
That's the question that kills artists.
Because how do you know when to stop? Your paintings are such an expression. Is it ever done, or do you have to say,
sure.
okay, look, it's
absolutely,
done?
It's done. Yeah, sure, it's done. But I think sometimes you're in that zone. Sometimes you can tap in that spirit, and sometimes you can't. And it's like life. You can't, put a switch on a light switch and decide that you're going to be super creative, and that you're going to tap into that spirit part of you, and that you're going to do a masterpiece. No, it doesn't work like that. But I think it's having faith that you're there and to share something that's authentic.
Well, we have faith that you're going to be there and be sharing things authentically with us. 2,000, any more events yet for 14? I know 15, there's a lot of talk about doing what was done with Painting with the Spirit, and really kind of broadening that, doing that maybe 3 or 4 different times, having Alexia, part of our band Still Point, is just fantastic. She was
she's amazing.
On The Voice. And I mean, she's awesome.
She had us dancing all over the sanctuary.
So you see more events like that.
Yes, absolutely. I am really enjoying sharing this way of painting. I am just thrilled because I see how people respond and how I respond to them, and it's really a wonderful way for me to share what I love.
Yeah,
so for me, the Grand Palais is next in November.
Okay, so that's coming up.
That's coming up for me. Yeah.
So people will know that's the time to see you. Do you know the dates? Is that coming up soon?
I think it's the 27th of November.
I think so.
To the
Thursday. I think it's the last week in November. Okay, great. Well, we'll get that on the website as well. So, all right, Monica, keep painting.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least you know when they're finished, because I would have no idea.